Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the Grade 2 $750,000 Stephen Foster. We're going a mile and an eighth for some nice older horses. We've got a 4th of July sale going on at DRF.com. You can save up to 50% off select handicapping products. Learn more at shop.drf.com. Here's the field for the Stephen Foster. It's a pretty evenly matched group, Mike, and I think it's a big opportunity for Olympiad, who has won 4 races in a row and is right on the cusp of being one of the best handicap horses in the country. He's going to have to get through Mandaloun, who is unraced since the Saudi Cup, where he didn't run at all.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with that take on Olympiad. He's just sort of been brought along expertly by Bill Mott so far. Allowed to, make his way to a race like this one here to take a shot at a Grade 1. He's made no mistakes, Dan. I'm still, not sure exactly how good he is, but you're right. He has a chance to be one of the better handicap horses the second half of the year.
And he's tactical. We're going to throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and I'm just really flummoxed by how this pace is going to be run. American Revolution, Timeform US believes will make the lead. This horse has been first at the pace call once in his career. That was in his maiden win sprinting. Olympiad is a horse that likes to sit second or third. I wouldn't be surprised if Caddo River tries to show a little speed. He wired him in the Smarty Jones way back when, but I have a feeling there's a chance this pace isn't going to be very fast.
Yeah, it is pretty hard to decipher. I don't know how it's going to be run either. I do think American Revolution's fast enough to make the lead if they want it, but they've never really ridden him like that in his career.
Caddo River, the number 1, I think has been managed very well by Brad Cox. It looked like they were going to have him on the Triple Crown Trail in 2021 after he won the Smarty Jones in gate-to-wire fashion. And then after a 5th in the Rebel, he bounced right back with a 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. They gave him the second half of the year off, and I think that's the best thing that happened to Caddo River. That and the fact that Cox has put him in spot after spot after spot recently to build his confidence. He likes Churchill Downs, and he's coming off a triple-digit buyer win.
I agree with all that stuff. And he does have really good tactical speed from the rail, too. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles this step back up in class. If I'm being honest, Dan, I wasn't a big fan of his as a 3-year-old. But I'm with you. I like the way they handled him. They gave him a chance to turn out to be a good horse. And so far, he's delivering.
What about the mile and an eighth? I know he ran 2nd in the Arkansas Derby in 2021. Do you think he's better, maybe more as a flat miler or a mile and a 16th type?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly possible. His Arkansas Derby, he was 2nd that day, but it wasn't a particularly strong race, and it's not like he finished super strong in that race. I wonder how far he wants to go, but he deserves the chance to run in this race for sure.
Now you don't worry about distance with the Todd Pletcher train number 2, American Revolution. He is versatile. He won the Cigar Mile as a 3-year-old. Prior to that, he won a couple of very impressive races against New York Reds going a mile and an eighth, the Albany and the Empire Classic. And the blame was his first start off a 6-month layoff. And while a lot of folks might be disappointed he was beaten as the favorite that day, he did some running and I think gained a lot of fitness.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't like necessarily the trip that he pulled in that race. And he was off the long layoff going 9 furlongs against a pretty good field anyway. But, he just got hung up wide around the first turn. He did some chasing up the backstretch. That pace was actually pretty solid. Closers came and ran 1-2 in that race. And he just got tired in the final furlong of that race. You expect Pletcher to have these horses ready off of layoffs like that. I think he needed the race.
You describe Bill Mott's handling of Olympiad perfect in the Open. He has just handled him masterfully. And ever since he's stretched out around 2 turns as an older horse, he's just put it all together. Distance is his friend. 4 consecutive triple-digit buyer speed figures. Wonderful tactical speed. And he's been slowly stepping up in class with each and every race. This will be the toughest test to date, but how can you knock a horse that just seemingly fires a triple-digit every time?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, he just keeps getting better with every start. He's handling, slightly tougher competition every time too, Dan. I mean, I don't really have any knocks on this horse. Again, I'm very interested to see how he runs here because it feels like this race is even tougher for him. And I'm, really interested to see how he handles it. I don't think I'd want to bet him at any kind of a short price, but I won't be surprised when he wins.
If you're picking nits, I guess the Ali Sheba had a slow pace and he used his tactical speed to get up close, while the number 4 Title Ready, who doesn't have a lot of early speed, kind of sat off of it and might have been up against the race flow. All in all, Title Ready ran pretty well to be third. The problem is that's kind of Title Ready, isn't it? He's always at the mercy of pace and trip luck, and he usually seems to find one or two better. I could see him sneaking into the number if the pace is fast.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe he'll get a little bit of an honest pace in here with a bunch of horses going forward. We'll see how it all plays out. You know, I thought he ran well last time too. I also kind of feel like that's probably the best he can do, and I don't think it's going to be good enough to beat this field.
I've always been a big fan of the Michael Stidham train number 5 Proxy, and I'm beginning to wonder if he's ever going to get to that level where he can be a grade 2 horse, a horse that can contend for the win in a race like the Stephen Foster, because Olympiad handled him in the New Orleans Classic 3 starts back. Last time out, he was beaten by Dynamic One, who was a nice horse in his own right, but Proxy has to win races like the Blame, and he has to win races like the Ben Ali, in my opinion, if he's going to win a race like the Foster.
Yeah, I won't disagree with any of that. This horse is okay, and he's another one who, if this pace, somehow gets fast, it's going to benefit Proxy because he just doesn't have a lot of speed, and you basically have to ride him from start to finish. He's a horse who it just feels like you just have to constantly work on him to keep him engaged in the race. And the Blame, he was basically in a drive on the backstretch. He was going nowhere. Dynamic One walked right past him around the turn. Like he was going to maybe finish last, and then all of a sudden he's running again at the end of the race. I don't know, man. It feels like he needs this race to fall apart if he's going to win.
And number 6, Mandaloun, is also known as the steward's best friend. Of course, placed first in the Kentucky Derby after the disqualification of Medina Spirit, placed first in the Haskell after the disqualification of Hot Rod Charlie. He was given the rest of the summer off by Brad Cox after that hard effort in the Haskell, and he didn't need the stewards in the Louisiana. He had to work pretty hard to beat Midnight Bourbon that day, but all in all, a good effort off the layoff, and I think a lot of folks were expecting him to run well in the Saudi Cup. Maybe he didn't handle the racetrack, but that was bad.
It was bad. I don't know what the excuse was for that race. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to give him a pass for it, but man, you would have thought he would have run better than that in that race. I don't know. His prior form is obviously good. He still has a little upside. You mentioned his Louisiana where he had to work pretty hard to win. It's the kind of race where, to me, it never looked like he was going to lose. But I just feel like, and it's not the first time we've seen this from Mandaloun, I think he's got a little hang in him, Dan. He doesn't like to put his horses away when he's dealing with them in the stretch. And at some point, that's going to come back and cost him.
Last Samurai, going into the Oaklawn Handicap, his most recent race, I think a lot of folks were thinking this is a horse that really wants a 1.25 miles, 1 3/16 miles, even 1.5 miles. Well, the Oaklawn Handicap, you could argue, is run in that sort of a manner. Let's watch that race where Last Samurai actually showed some speed from the inside, and he was just content to prompt a very moderate pace, and he outstays everybody to the wire. On the far turn, it looked like he wasn't going to win, and at the end, he's getting away from him.
Yeah, I mean, he just stays and stays and stays. He's actually a pretty nice horse, and it does feel like he's sort of progressing with every run. Obviously, this is a career best performance from him. Yeah, he's stepping up in class again, and we'll see, I guess, if he can improve again, Dan. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if he did it. It kind of feels like last time was the time to have him. That was a really good spot for him.
Last time was the time, and I think it's fair to question that 102 buyer. It sort of came out of nowhere, but again, the race was run to suit Last Samurai, and maybe the race will be run to suit here. First time for Mr. Lucas. Maybe he'll show a little bit of that speed that he showed last time out. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Get all the latest DRFTV video offerings. Top pick time for the Stephen Foster. American Revolution now is race under his belt. He has tactical speed, and as a second-time 4-year-old, has upside.
Yeah, all those things are true. I just feel like he really needed that start off the layoff, Dan. I think he's going to run better here. If he's going to wind up being the third choice as the morning line has him, I'm happy to take a shot with him here.
I'm hoping John Court can get Last Samurai out of there and into the race early like he did last time out at Oaklawn, because I think there's a chance this race could be run at a moderate tempo. Maybe it just comes down to who outstays them, and that could be Last Samurai. I want a price in here. He was a price last time, but he's 8-1 on the morning line. People have to be betting horses like Mandaloun and Olympiad in a race like this. 2-3-6-5 for Mike, 7-3-1-6 for me. It's the Stephen Foster on Saturday. Good luck.